Good morning. This is Shelby Law with the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024. Fire potential impacts for the next couple of days are shown here. Today we have a lot going on again. We have some storms over the central Idaho mountains that may be on the wetter side this afternoon, and then some lingering mixed wet dry storms over northern Utah and into western Wyoming. We also have some gusty winds in the upper Snake River Plain with some high relative humidities there in the 25 to 30% range, and then some gusty winds in eastern Nevada into western Utah with lower relative humidities. Tomorrow the thunderstorms really decrease with just some lingering storms over far eastern areas, western Wyoming and northeast Utah with the warm and drier air mass moving in, and then those warm and dry conditions continuing to Thursday with lighter winds in general. Yesterday was a very active day for showers and thunderstorms, lots of lightning across Idaho and into portions of much of western Utah and even portions of eastern Nevada. Light precip amounts with most of these storms. There were a few pockets that had a wetting rain here in southern Idaho and then in some of the areas in the central Idaho mountains, but generally very light precip totals. Initial attack was very heavy yesterday, 49 new fires for over 24,000 acres. Many of those acres were on these fires in western Idaho and southern Idaho. And then our large fire growth was over 18,000 acres. So a very active day for large fires mainly in Idaho yesterday. ERCs are still showing very high values over much of Idaho into western Wyoming and a few pockets here in western Nevada and western Utah. These values in Idaho may come down just a bit for a few days with the higher relative humidities there today, but we'll be bouncing right back to these high levels once again. This morning's satellite imagery shows that area of low pressure tracking across the northern portions of the Great Basin today. This will lead to another round of some showers and thunderstorms later this afternoon. For smoke today, we still have quite a few smoke impacts across mainly Idaho this afternoon. Tomorrow, we'll see the smoke move a little bit further south into northern Nevada and northern Utah as the low exits the area, and we have a little bit of northern. So for today, we can see that area of low pressure traveling across the central Idaho mountains today, keeping relative humidity a little bit higher there and bringing another chance of some showers today. We do have high risk issued for eastern Nevada and into northwest Utah for the gusty winds and low relative humidity, and then a couple high risk areas, northern Wasatch and western Wyoming, for the chance of mixed wet thunderstorms again later today. Gusty winds are elevated over the upper Snake River Plain today with gusts 30 to 35 miles an hour, and some of those gusts will continue into western Wyoming, and then gusty winds also over eastern Nevada, shown here. Gusty outflow winds can be expected with any thunderstorms that develop across northern Utah later today as well. Minimum relative humidities are pretty low across northern Nevada, higher across the central Idaho mountains, and then lowish again over the upper Snake River Plain with higher values over the higher elevations of Utah and western Wyoming. Precipitation shown here on the left shows another round of showers and thunderstorms possible over the central Idaho mountains today and into western Wyoming, and then also here and there over Utah. Cloud cover shows clear skies over Nevada and across southern Idaho with some cloud cover over the central Idaho mountains into western Wyoming and over much of Utah as the storms roll through. Starting tomorrow, the ridge of high pressure rebuilds back into the Great Basin for warming and drying area wide. We may still see some lingering storms over western Wyoming and northeast Utah on Wednesday, but otherwise clearing and warming, no high risk for tomorrow. Generally lighter winds. The winds will be more out of a northerly direction tomorrow as the low exits to the east, and we're kind of on the backside of the building ridge for a day. And then again, here we have just a slight chance of some isolated storms northeast Utah, western Wyoming, and then these storms here in the east central Idaho mountains will take place earlier in the day. On Thursday, the ridge starts to center itself over the Great Basin for continued warm and dry conditions area-wide, no high risk. Maximum temperatures by Thursday will be in the low 90s across the western half of the Great Basin, a little bit cooler in the 80s in the eastern half. Very low relative humidities over Nevada into southern Utah with slightly higher values further north and east. Light winds on Thursday. 3-day precip totals are shown here. This is really the short term across the central Idaho mountains today, western Wyoming today, and maybe some lingering storms into tomorrow, and Utah is mostly today with lingering storms again into tomorrow. Friday, the ridge remains in place over the Great Basin. We start to see a little bit of moisture squeaking into far western portions of the area. We did issue some high risk for that lightning as the moisture begins to move in to far western Nevada on Friday. And then on Saturday, that moisture continues to move a little bit further eastward. So we did high risk portions of central and southern Nevada for Saturday as we see the chances of thunderstorm increasing there. Otherwise, warm and dry in the north and eastern portions of the region. On Sunday, that moisture continues to move to increase a bit and to move a little bit further northward into northern Nevada. This is a little bit far out in the extended forecast, so we will keep an eye on this moisture to see how far north it may move into Idaho by Sunday. There's another trough moving into the Pacific Northwest that will definitely enhance some of this moisture moving northward, so we'll keep an eye on that. And then on Monday, more of the same here with that moisture underneath the ridge in the Great Basin and the low pressure trough over the Pacific Northwest could make for some interesting weather, more thunderstorms moving north into the first part of next week. So the 7-day precip totals show a lot of that moisture moving back into the Great Basin starting this weekend into Nevada. So we will keep an eye on this moisture as it moves back into the area for the potential for new initial attack. And the extended forecast for September 10th through the 16th puts above normal temperature across much of the Great Basin, especially the eastern half of the area, and below normal precipitation is expected for most of the geographic area as well, with above normal chances over the Pacific Northwest here. And that concludes today's briefing. Please check back tomorrow for the latest updates.